Hello beautiful people, welcome back to my channel, the beautiful stitches. I love you all and I'm glad you're on to this channel. Today we are going to be making a simple gown with this fabric of mine. As you can see, I've cut out the required quantity, the length and the width on fold. Okay, so this is a crepe material and it's a little bit slippery. And here is another material, culture material. I'll be cutting out this patch from this material and put at the center of my main bodice. Okay guys, if you're new to this channel, please subscribe before leaving, and for my subscribers, I love you guys. So let's get started. Let's keep this other fabric aside and cut on the main fabric. Okay, so let me align my fabric. As you can see, I've aligned my fabric, and this fabric is a little bit stretchy and slippery. I pin it at almost every point to prevent it from moving unnecessarily. Okay, so what we're going to do next is to mark out our patterns on the fabric. Okay, so here is my front panel. You can hardly differentiate because I pinned it down, and here is the back panel. So let's measure and see if we have the exact quantity we need for this tutorial. Okay, let me bring it forward a little so that we can see what we are doing. I have 61 inches for the length of my fabric, and the length I'll be using for this tutorial is 58. The 2 inches remaining, I might be using it for folding, or I can use the entire length of the fabric for this tutorial. Okay, so let's stretch it out and continue with our markings. Right, let's mark out our 1 inch baseline where every measurement starts from. Okay, so this is our 1 inch. The next thing now is to impute our measurement. My vertical measurement, my nipple point is 11, my under bust is 16 inches, my waist is 18, and my hip is 24 inches. Okay, so I'll be using the entire length of the fabric. All right, so let's mark it out into a straight line. The next thing now is to impute our armhole. My armhole is 9 inches, 18 divided by 2. Okay, we'll come down by 1 inch for shoulder slope, and then we'll mark out 3 inches neck standard measurement to connect our slope. So let's connect our slope. And then let's impute our armhole. From the slope, we'll measure out 9 inches for my armhole, which is here. Connect the lines after marking. Let's be sure of what we have on the other side, 9 inches too. So let's connect the lines together. Sorry, my marker is not really clear. Please bear with me. So let's connect the markings together, and then we'll locate the mid point of the armhole, which is 4.5. Go in by ½ inch and then connect it together. For this, I'm not going to be marking out the back armhole because of the nature of the fabric. So I'm going to be marking all together. I'm going to be using this for both the front and the back armhole. Okay, so let's go over to the neck line. I'll be using 4 inches for this tutorial. The neckline is 4 inches for the neck width, and the neck depth I'm going to be measuring out 4 inches too. And then I'll be having a design after the neckline which I'll be measuring out about 2.5 inches and then curve it down to the 4 inches neck with depth. Just watch what I'm doing. Connect it that way. Okay. Let's connect the main neck line. This is for the front neckline. Okay. So I'll be leaving a little space between the main neckline and this design here, about 1/4 inch, which I'll also cut through after joining my fabric. And then for the back neckline, I'll be using 1 inch for the back neckline depth. I've also connected it. That's, by the way, for the neckline. Okay, so now we are going to be marking out our horizontal measurements. My bust is 43 divided by 2. We have 10/3/8, which is here. And then I'll be adding 1 inch allowance, both sewing and for ease. Okay. My under bust is 38 divided by 4. We have 9.5. Plus 1 inch 2, just the way I've added for the bust. My waist is 42. 42 divided by 4, we have 10.5 plus 1 inch allowance. And then my hip is 45 divided by 4, we have 11.25 plus 1 inch 2. So the next thing I'm going to be doing now is to draft the same measurement for the hip, for the hem too. Okay, then I'll add extra 1 inch for the hem line. So let me pull it up a little and measure it out. So what we have here is 12.25. So I'll be measuring out the same 12.25 at the hem line and then add extra 1 inch for ease. Remember, I'll be opening it up on the sides. So let me impute the measurement. So I'll be adding 13.25. Okay. Measure it out. The same thing goes for the hem. 13.25. So the next thing is to connect the markings together. Here we are. We have finished connecting our markings. The next thing is to cut it out. So let me align my fabric properly. Remember, this fabric is a little bit stretchy and slippery. So let me cut it out now. Okay. We have finished cutting our fabric, as you can see, remaining the neck line. So let's cut out the neck line. Remember, 1 inch for the back neckline and 4 inches for the front neckline. So we'll be cutting out the back neckline before the front neckline. Remember to add your 1/2 inch sewing allowance at the shoulder line, which is what we are doing now, and then cut gently. So right now we're going to be cutting out the front neck line. Okay, so I'll be cutting the main markings for the neckline first. Okay, and then leave about 1/4 inch between the neckline and the little design I'll be adding to that area. So let me cut out the main neckline, which is this one I'm cutting now. Watch. Let's remove the pin. Going over to my little design, we're going to be cutting from the down part down to the neckline, leaving about 1/4 inch there, because we'll be adding something like button at that point. So let's cut it out and see how it goes. As you can see, I finished cutting it out. So this is my little area where I'll be putting my design. Okay, let me remove the back panel and show us what it looks like. As you can see, this is as I've been explaining. That's the 1/4 inch at that spot. Okay, so I'll be placing a design there that looks like button. Okay, so let's keep our fabric aside and then go back to the patch that I want to place on it. All right, here is my culture material. I will be cutting out this patch on this fabric and place it at the center, and those little ones at the sides, I'll be placing them at the hem and at the armhole area, while this one goes to the center of my fabric. Okay, so let's quickly cut them out. Remember, while cutting, we cut at least leaving 3/8 inch so that we can fold it properly. Okay, just like as I've done now. You can see this is my design I'll be placing on it. So let's also cut out the smaller ones at the edges. We're using that for the hem of our gown. Okay, let's keep this aside. So guys, here are my patches. This is for the center and these ones are for the hem and for the armhole region. Okay, so let's keep it aside. And for the sleeves, I'll be using this part of my fabric for the sleeve. Okay, so let's cut out the sleeve pattern. If you watch closely, I'm cutting out 2 pieces of that area. I'll be joining it together to achieve a sleeve, okay, for the both sleeves. All right, guys, the next thing now is to use my soft interface, apply on my patches. Okay, soft gum stay or soft interface, I'll be applying it on my patches with a very hot pressing iron. This is to enable it stay flat on my main fabric. Okay, just watch exactly what I'm doing. I'm done with my interface and I've also given it a good press, folding in the 3/8 inch. Okay, you can see it. So I'll be stitching directly at the edges round. Okay, you can see it's looking very beautiful. The same thing goes for the other smaller patches. Okay guys, so let's go over to the sleeve. As you can see, I finished joining it. So I'll be making folds of it in 2 places and then cut out my sleeve. That's, by the way, for the patches. So the next thing we are going to be doing now is to open up my main bodice. Okay, and then apply the patch at the center. Can see a line there. That line was gotten from the pressing iron. So it also serves as a means of identifying the center of my fabric. So I'll be placing it at the center. As you can see, this is what I'm going to be doing. And then stitch round it. I'll use my office pin to hold it down before stitching. Let me pin it down and show us exactly what I'm talking about. We have to be careful with this material because the main fabric is a little bit stretchy and a little bit uh, slippery. Okay, so here is my patch on my main fabric. I've pinned it round. This is how it looks. Okay, and then I'll be using this cord lace to place on the edge. Just watch what I'm doing. This is for us to cover the stitch. Okay, I'm going to be placing it round on my patch just to add more beauty to it. Please remember to sew it round before adding the cord lace. Okay, that's by the way. And then for the smaller patches, I thought of putting it on the side, but it's not looking beautiful the way I'm thinking. So I'll be placing it on the armhole region, and then two at the hem of my gown. Just watch what I'm doing. Place two at the hem of my gown. And one on the other side. Just to add more beauty to it. Okay. So I'll also pin it down and also sew it round. Okay. Then on the sides, I'll be sewing it from the armhole down. Alright guys, as you can see, I've finished attaching my patch and my cord lace. You can see that our gown is coming out beautifully. It's looking very gorgeous, very fine. As you can see, our patches are well placed and it has been attached to the main bodies of our fabric. So going over to the neckline, I'll be using a bias to turn it inside. Okay, just watch what I'm doing. Turn it and follow that design round. Then after turning it, I'll be using this cord. It's a button like something. I'll be using it to place at the neck region. Just watch what I'm doing. That is how I'll place it there and tag it to my fabric while I open up the 1/4 inch I left there. So let's take it to our sewing machine and get back to us. Here we are. I finished turning the neck. You can see my bias I used in turning it. It's looking very beautiful. So what I'm going to do now is to tag this button like stuff. Is a cord lace too. You can see that it's detachable. I'll tag it on my neck there. Okay, let me pin it down and show us how it looks. You can see it's looking beautiful. You can see. Let me turn it the other way so that we'll see it well. It's giving it another shape and another look. Okay, so I'll be tagging it to my main fabric. So guys, I finished tagging it to my fabric. As you can see, it's looking very beautiful. So the next thing I'm going to do now is to align the front panel and the back panel together, and then join it at the shoulder line with the 1/2 inch sewing allowance. Okay, this is exactly what I'm doing. Let me remove the pins. This material is a little bit slippery, so we'll have to work with it the way it is. So I'll pin it down and then sew it to my front panel. So let's take it to our sewing machine. So guys, here we are done with our gown. You can see I attached a pocket to it. You can see that I've also attached the sleeve. For a tutorial on how to cut a perfect sleeve, please visit the Beautiful Stitches for a complete video on how to cut a sleeve. Okay guys, you can see, let me turn the gown and show us how it looks. Wow, this is looking very, very gorgeous and beautiful. Looking very beautiful. You can see all the patches are well placed, the sleeve well attached. So guys, this is the end of this tutorial. As you can see, our gown came out beautifully well. If you are new to this channel, please don't forget to subscribe before leaving. And for my subscribers, I thank you all for being there, for watching my videos. Please like, share this video. Bye bye.